Hi,
Hello.
hello. Is this
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
hey Tommy Bryson? This call's gonna be recorded and put this up to YouTube. How can I help you?
Hey, cool, man. So first, I just want to say, so thanks for like all the information. You're actually the reason I initiated the whole dropshipping thing, and I just
Awesome.
recently opened, well, I'm in the process of, I got my LLC for credit repair reasons as well. So it's like the whole e-commerce thing. So that's really cool.
Wait,
Also,
what are
want to
you
shout
doing?
out.
What are you? Can you speak up a little bit? What are you doing?
So credit repair business. This is
Okay.
what I'm starting now.
Okay.
I work at a bank, so I'm asking clients to get the night left and right. Um, don't know if I can use clients from my actual branch, so I won't be doing that. Sorry for the noise in the background. We're closed, but
Yeah.
but with that being said, so my question to you would be, just generally speaking, just opening up an LLC for the first time and setting up a business account. Do you have any advice on what kind of things I should be looking out for?
I think when it comes to a credit repair business, you definitely need, for example, liability protection because you might be promising something that sometimes you might not meet the expectation of whatever that client is actually thinking. So if you open up, for example, an LLC, that's fairly simple. You can use, for example, LegalZoom or, for example, just a CPA in your local area to actually do it for you. Depending on where you live, you might have, for example, different filing requirements. But for LegalZoom, you can do the whole process very simple. And then on top of that, open up a business account. Once you have the LLC papers and all that stuff, and also like an EIN number, well, you work at a bank, so you just go to the bank of your choice, and you open up a business account. As far as which one is best, the one I use is Chase, and it was because basically they gave me the most money. Back then, it was around like $300, and I used that money to basically cover the cost of opening up the LLC in the first place. And when you open up the LLC, all those costs are basically deductible. So that's a bonus. There's cost starter cost when it comes to your taxes.
Okay, fair. That's fair. That makes sense. Actually, okay. I mean, I went with Bank of America just because they were friendly. Because this
Mm-hmm.
business model is actually considered high risk for banks, but not for Bank of America, apparently. So that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. My next thing would be in terms of marketing. Obviously, it would be more organic, more word of mouth. What
Mm-hmm.
would be, in your opinion, I guess the best method for me? Just like literally, like if you're starting from scratch.
If I had no clients, I knew no one, I'd probably start making content, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on TikTok. Putting yourself out there and offering, for example, free content to give to the people. But if the one, for example, personalized like services, you can basically just offer them that and sell them on that, most likely. But your business is probably going to be based a lot on referrals. So, and it's one of the best ways to actually close on someone. If you tell someone, hey, every time you get a client, for example, you say, hey, who do you know that can probably need my services or whatever it is? They refer you to somebody else, and you go to someone else, be like, hey, Todd or Bob referred me to you, and they'll probably be a lot more open to actually working with you also, because you have that little rapport there already established. But it's gonna come usually
Mm.
from like, hey, if you want to build organic content and you want to like build that organic audience, that's fine. Also, if you want to do paid content, then your biggest thing is like conversion. So if I pay $50 for ads, like how much clients I'm actually getting from that, if any, and then how much money I'm actually making from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, sorry, go ahead.
And also on that note, right? And a great way to figure out exactly the best marketing strategy is you just go to your competitors, right? Look at what they're doing, and if they're very successful doing it, who's to say you can't do the same?
Mm. Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay. Okay. Wow, thanks, man. I guess, so I just have two more questions. Don't worry, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
take up all your time.
you have 30
So,
minutes, man. So you're solid. So you can take your time if you want to. It's all
oh,
good.
okay, fair. I'm just used to rushing, from work. So
Yeah,
just
it's fine.
jumping off that for a second. Um, so I am doing this. I do have my EIN and things of that nature for the business now.
Mm-hmm.
Down the line, I do want to also do tax preparation. So on my credit repair, you actually do, and I live in New York, by the way.
Okay.
I live in, well, not in the Bronx anymore. I just moved to Manhattan, but that's besides the point.
Okay.
Um, if so, with this, so with tax preparation, I do understand I do need licensing for that. Now, my
You said you want to do
currently,
taxes.
yeah. So down the line, yes, that would be like my next
Okay.
side business in addition to what I'm doing now. So my
Mm-hmm.
question to you would be, basically, if it would be a conflict of interest if I'm sourcing clients from my own job or for
Yes.
tax purposes. So yes, okay.
Yes. Just look it up in the contract, man, or just ask a question. If it feels weird to ask a question, it's probably because it is. But you want to ask a question, because the big thing
Mm,
is the bank doesn't want to be associated with anything that isn't controlled by them. Because now, if you're kind of like sourcing your clients, you're kind of like saying like, hey, I'll provide the service, but now if you provide a bad service, now it's kind of like looking bad on the bank. So my answer would be like you wanna ask your bank about that whole thing. If it works something out, great, but most likely it's gonna be a no. But a great idea would be if you can get people to actually do your repair business, and then you can basically just use those same people and refer them to your other business, the tax preparation business, and give them like a discount if they come from that side. Does that make sense?
mm. Yeah, because what I originally wanted to do was, I know firsthand who is and isn't getting approvals. So what I thought would be okay is if I hire someone and I train them to be able to provide this service, and then I refer them to this person. If that makes sense, like, hey, I know a guy, kind of
It's
deal. Even though
it
the guy
sounds
actually works for
Yeah,
me.
it sounds like you want to do like a little like affiliate stuff going on here. You can do that, man, but I wouldn't risk my job doing something that's not accepted, right? I think following the rules is just a lot better. Now, if you say, for example, somebody's asking you directly, like, who does taxes for you, whatever, or I do it with this guy, whatever it is, maybe that's not the bad thing. But if you're like purposely like poaching whatever bank, don't say the bank you work for, by the way,
And
um if you're poaching like their clients and all those things and it's against policy, if they find out, then it might be an issue for you. But in New York, usually no one's going to find out anything. But I want to take things on that ethical like pathway. Just do things the correct way. That way you don't get in trouble. Because if you build a bit, by the way, when you do build those two businesses right there, if you do it, the answer is you want to create two separate LLCs. You could just do a DBA for the tax preparation, but again, it's two different things. So most likely you want to have it separate in case anything does go wrong. So one is not liable for the other one. So also take care of that way. But you have a business where you have flow through clients, which basically means they can flow from one side to the next side and then become basically recurring clients because people need to do the taxes every single year. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. And that's
Mm-hmm.
funny. You answered one of my questions, which was whether should I do a DBA for when I do tax preparation or just do an entirely different entity. Just,
I would do a different entity. The only time I would do a DBA if it's very related to your business. So, for example, if I have a YouTube channel and I want to start, for example, another channel or another little business within the channel, then I would do a DBA. It's the same thing, but I'm just showing myself as a different person or whatever it is, right? But when it comes to two separate, completely separate entities in a way, one is taxes, one is repairs and credit and all that stuff. That's just completely different. Now, by the way, question on this repair business thing. Have you been doing it for a while?
so I don't want to say that. So I've been doing it, I guess, unofficially for a while, if that makes sense. So like, family members like, hey, Brian, oh man, say
Mm-hmm.
my name. Well, yeah, that's fine. They're asking like, hey, like, what can I do to either A, improve or resolve this, right? So it hasn't been a long time. It's been a few
Mm-hmm.
years of like, just me knowing like whatever I know, like, literally from watching your videos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now recently is when I signed up to a couple of courses and I've been taking my own, honestly, like extensive research, my own notes from several different sources,
Mm-hmm.
just so I can know how to tackle X, Y, and Z at a more professional level, if you will.
Yeah. So my advice would be whatever you see competition doing, you want to also do that. The big thing is basically there's only one you, right? So you have your own stories and everything like that. So you can basically add your own secret sauce to it or whatever it is. But if you see courses are doing very well, make a course also. So whenever you
Mm,
refer your clients and you say, hey, I don't want to do it for you. I want to teach you how to do it. That way you can do it yourself. That might be like a little selling thing also because the thing is you're not getting a repeat business here, right? Because in reality,
yeah.
well, you can repeat it when you transfer them over to the taxes, but when you do that thing that one time, usually they're not gonna come back over and over again. Most likely, they're going to refer you to someone else. So if you want to do it that way, where you do like the one-on-one thing and you having to do all the work and all this stuff, that's great, but it requires more of your time. If you say, hey, I just sell the course on this whole thing, and then they can buy that course from you, and you only have to make it once and do customer service for it, then great. It's a lot more of your time that's actually saved. But the big thing is also that you have to build an authority in that whole nature of that business, right? So if you're not an authority in credit repair, people aren't really going to buy your stuff most likely. So you got to build some content. You build content, you build a little platform, and then you start basically advertising this course. And then before you know it, you get a few clients and so on, and then you're solid to go. If you want to buy the course, it's X amount of money. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, then it's X amount of money plus more, because it's actually my time and talking to you one-on-one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
All I'm saying is it's just different avenues to do what you want to do. It's possible, though.
Of course. Man, thank you, man. This is like insane.
But just
Thank you for that.
when you do get started, man, just you don't wanna cut yourself to like slight. What's the saying? You don't want to spread yourself too thin. If you're gonna do like your job plus the taxes plus the credit repair business, remember, right? All these things, unless, well, it depends, because you want to export the whole tax service, and then you can also potentially just make a course for that thing. If you can like do it like a lot of delegation and doesn't require your time, great. But if you just like, are you the only one doing it, then in reality, it might be way too much work for you. So I probably would want to start with one thing first and then build that up and then start with another thing after that, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I was thinking.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking of focusing on the first thing with the credit first, and then once that's up and running, everything is good, and then when the time is right to let the person, then at that point, basically when I free up the time and the work is still the same, the production is the same, to the tax situation.
And just remember, man, this business is probably not going to take off as fast as you probably wanted to, because you have no clients unless you're going to spend a lot of money on being like, there's two ways to kind of get like that authority figure in yourself in a way. Organic, by making a lot of content like way like I do, to the point where you just can't be ignored anymore. Or for example, the paid version, where you're like more like Ty Lopez, when you just pay a lot for ads, and then before you know it, everyone knows you. But if you're going to go the organic route, understand it's going to take a while before you actually start to make some money and actually get some real clients and so on. So make sure you actually like what you're doing, okay?
Yeah, fair. Yeah, this is something that 100% I do like. I think I've been leaning more towards the organic route just because, you know, like I do have like very small Instagram, like IG pages and things of that nature. So I want to try to leverage that, maybe some groups. And I am looking for marketing courses as well, just to see, because obviously new business is not going to take off right away. Definitely not, especially not paid advertisements.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just building my testimonials to my family members, essentially.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And how's your personal financial situation?
So, funny you say that. So, honestly, so when I originally started watching your content, it was not that great, to be honest. And that's crazy coming from the quote-unquote person that manages the finances for damn near everyone in my family. But of course, you know, I went ahead and started investing in the stock market, Robinhood in particular, but then I pivoted more towards ACORNs because although I found success, I found myself spending too much time on the app, and I kind of wanted to move away from that. So there's that. As far as finances, I do have that. I recently got engaged to my
congratulations.
Thank you. By the way, the wealth shirt that you made, I wear that time I'm working. It's been to Madrid, Mexico, and Puerto Rico.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Of course. So yeah, I mean, but yes, I do have some debt.
How much do you owe?
I do have. Sorry.
How much do you owe?
I want to say about 16K.
16,000?
Yes.
What is it for?
16K. So it's actually from the original debt is actually just from I used to live with my mother, and that was the only source of income. You know, it's just my mom and my siblings. I live with this one. You know, my dad is not really in the equation in terms of, you know, providing or anything like that. So I was the main guy for a long time, and then when my fiance came in the picture, she started helping out. My younger sister got old enough to work. Even though I didn't want her to work, but she started working, so things got better. Eventually, I moved out, but the lump sum of that debt is literally from, I'll tell you, it's literally from Con Ed. Con Ed, for a lot of people, it's maybe $70, $100 at best. For my home, it was, anywhere between $300 to $600,
Wow.
and that's on top of rent. And I know the wiring is incorrect, but it's just one of those things where you kind of just deal with it, and for the lack of just not knowing what to do really. But I do have strategies that I've been implementing. I have my spending account that you've requested, and that's actually been really helpful just in terms of like peace of mind and just keeping your head straight really. Even though I'm not a big spender, but it's good to have this swipe and I think about it. But I do have my plans. I manage my finances as well as my girlfriend's finances, and we're at a place right now where we don't make the most money in the world, but we're making the most we have as a unit after moving out.
How much does she make?
Have a vacation. I only make, so my actual salary is $60K.
That's a lot of money, man.
Well, I mean, I'm happy about that. Don't get me wrong. So I can tell you, I guess, my role. My role was a part-time like teller/customer service guy.
Yeah.
And this is like the time that I first started watching videos and stuff like that. I was then promoted to an actual like financial advisor, banker, whatever, So then my salary doubled, like, because before it was on the low 20s, then it went up to 60.
Awesome.
So then, and then of course when you do overtime, it projects to 80. But again, you have bills, you have your game plan, right? So my game plan is essentially you get take money for bills, for things that you absolutely have to spend, for vacation funds, emergency funds. Again, this is all things I'm learning from you. Have your spending account, which you don't think about it, it's automatically set to the side. We did fall back a little bit in terms of the emergency funds because one of our pets sick and things like that. So we're like working on it again. So
you live with your fiance?
Yes.
You guys have like a shared account or something?
Yeah, we have multiple shared accounts.
How long have you guys been together for?
5 years. We just made 5 years.
When are you gonna get married?
Why is everybody asking me this?
I ask because it's very what I'm here. It sounds cute, right? But it's very dangerous to. She's a roommate. She's your fiance in a way, right? But she's living with you, but she's not your wife. Legally, you have no protection there. So it's very dangerous to align your assets with someone that legally there's no association there. There might be the trust level, but until you're married, I probably wouldn't recommend. I had that same idea also, and then I pulled back because I learned from other people, and I don't have to make mistakes to actually go through things. So I'd probably pull back from the joint accounts and stuff like that until you actually get married. When you become married, you have two wholes become one. But that's why, for example, if you heard, I'm going to Puerto Rico, but I'm not taking my fiance there because we're not going to live together until we get married. We're not going to have a joint account until we get married. There's that section of protection there. And it's dangerous, for example, for her, like I buy a house and I'm like, I don't really like this anymore. Or she says, I don't really like this anymore. Then what happens then? It's my house. Like, what are you going to do now? You know what I mean? So I'd probably it's a conversation too, because you already gave her that feeling and you already have that feeling also. So now saying like, hey, maybe let's just wait until we get married. Now it's a whole different thing. So think about it a second, right? But on top of that, what I'm hearing is my videos, they're pretty good, but you don't get the full picture a lot of times. It's just a lot of different videos. But the whole picture is basically the first step is you want to get out of debt, right? You want to save $1,000 for emergencies, and you want to work towards getting out of debt using the avalanche method, meaning you pay the debt with the highest interest first. In your case, if you owe $16K on Con Ed, you could potentially call them and try to negotiate down on that, especially now during the whole pandemic thing. It's a lot more easier to negotiate with those people. If you can negotiate that down, your whole goal here is to try to pay this off and stay out of debt. And you don't have any student loans or anything like that?
No, thank God, no.
Okay, awesome. But I wouldn't be investing in anything until I'm done with this debt. Once I'm done with this debt, my next step would be, hey, by the way, there's obviously no vacations and stuff going on just yet, because again, unless you're saving like around $30 per week and then you actually get to do that at the end of the year, that's fine with me. But there are no really like a crazy vacation fund because you can't afford it right now because you're still in debt. Then my second step would be, I want to save for 3 to 6 months worth of emergencies, right? That way that money is there and secured, while I might be investing like 5-10%. The third step is usually you start to save up money for a home, but because you do live in New York in the city, you gotta use a rent versus buy calculator to make sure it actually makes sense for you. But even in that case, because again, you're not married, I might just pause that section and say, hey, I'll invest 10-20% of my income once I have everything else. But then the big goal is basically, I want to grab the rest of the money and put that money towards saving up for the wedding, if you're actually going to do it. Now, I recommend 2 books when it comes to getting married and all that stuff. The first one is called 21 Questions to Marry in Confidence, Before You Save the Date. It's a great book. It's like a red book. You see like 2 couples actually holding hands and all that stuff. It's 21 questions to go ahead and ask your spouse, because there's 4 things when it comes to being married. You have money, you have kids, you have in-laws, and lastly, you have religion. Being on the same page with that stuff is very important. And then the second book is going to be called The Sacred Search. So once you have the answers, if it sounds, for example, like she is a good fit, and sometimes you can go, I went 5 years with my fiance, and the first 4.5 years were just a waste of time. It was just us talking about nothing and anything like that. But then on that 4.5 year, when we actually started talking about, hey, here's the marriage thing, here's what I want to find out, that's when the real discoveries came into play. You know what I mean? So those 2 books right there are going to help you out a lot to decide, hey, is this like a serious thing or is it not a serious thing? If it is, then guess what? Like, you got a plan, set a date. When you do get married, okay, great. Now you guys are one. Now you guys can cooperate, knowing that, hey, I know you made this covenant to me. You guys actually together as a whole, and they can act as one. Does that make sense? And legally, you're also protected. And I know people say, Tommy, is just a piece of paper, but also $100 bills is a piece of paper, so give me your money. Or for example, a deed to your house, also a piece of paper, so give me your house, right? It matters. You know what I mean? Legally, it matters. So you want to make sure you have all those things checked out. But once you are married, you save up money for the wedding, because those are expensive, by the way. You got to decide, hey, do I want to save up money for a home? If you do, then you start doing that. So when you buy a home, while you're saving up for the home, you want to be investing 10-20% towards your retirement. I'm guessing your bank offers you some type of match.
Yeah, a nice one at that.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah. So you if they do offer, for example, a Roth 401k, I'll probably put your contributions to the Roth 401k, and they'll put their contributions, for example, into the 401k. Legally, they have to do it that way. But you having the money, for example, into a Roth 401k means you're investing post-tax money, meaning in the future, all that money is going to be 100% yours without any tax, because basically you already pay the tax today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if they offer that, great. If you don't, you max it out until you get basically the max match, and then you put the rest of the money, for example, into your Roth your Roth IRA, then you're good to go. If you have any money left over, you can put it, for example, into your 401k. Normally, you're good to go. But it all starts with, you got to get out of debt first. You can't be keeping that around because it wasn't really your responsibility. I get the whole thing. It's also complicated when you come to taking responsibility for somebody else's stuff, you know. So, but once you are through with that, and by the way, do you still pay for your mom's Con Ed bill?
No, not anymore. I'm just, just like, I guess, recovering from it, if that makes sense.
You make $60,000, bro. 3-4 months, you're done with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I need to sit down and see what the hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when it comes to your budget, because I heard you say something about like bills and stuff like that. I get the bills part, you know, but there when it comes to expenses, it's very basic. There are only 4 walls to every budget. You have, for example, shelter. That's where you live. If you live in Manhattan, most likely it's a lot of money. Just make sure it's no more than 30% of your monthly income. That way you're not spending all your money on rents. Second, you have utilities, internet, everything else like light are all stuff included. You have groceries. If it's 2 of you, which I don't like the idea of living with someone you're not married to just yet. The idea is it shouldn't be more than like $300, $400. And then lastly, you have transportation. If you live in New York City, you don't need a car. Most likely. You can just take a bike, buy a bike, and you're good to go. But everything outside of that is just an extra. For example, like Going on vacation is just an extra, right? So if you want to do that, yeah, maybe put aside like 2%, 1% for that stuff, but your priority is getting debt free, then saving up for a full blown emergency fund, start investing a little bit, and then saving up for this wedding if you actually want to have it. And if you're if you haven't set a date yet, then most likely you just need a little bit more information. So read those 2 books I gave you. Did you get those two books, by the way? Did you write them down?
Yeah, 20. I haven't read them yet, but I have written them down here. So 21
Yeah.
questions to marry in confidence, and then Sacred Search. Or was it Secret?
Yeah. No, Sacred Search. Sacred Search.
Okay,
Sacred
I wrote
Search.
both just in case. Okay,
Yeah,
Secret.
by I think it's by Timothy. You should find that book ASAP. But read the Secret Search first, or either one. But the one with the whole like 21 questions is the book you gotta order. The paperback is like $10, $12, $15, but you gotta do it with your fiance. That's the only way it
Gotcha.
works. You can't do it on your own. You gotta do it with her, and you gotta get on the same page with everything. And you gotta, again, when you read this book, right? It's like when you're gonna get hired at a bank. They hired you first as a teller, not as whatever you are right now. Because they didn't hire you on your potential. They hired you on what you could do right now. So when you read this book, if you see a lot of promises, things that are not yet established or any proof, the answer is because you're an entrepreneur. So you can basically see a lot of potential in people, but you want to judge them and what they are right now, not what they could be in the future. So wait until you have like all those things figured out and shown to you. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. You want to basically what you're doing is you have I guess in MBA terms, you have this prospect. You know he's good, however, or he's been good in the combine, but you want to actually test him on the real battlefield and on the floor.
Exactly.
To see, if he's the real deal.
Exactly. So if my fiance is telling me, yes, I'm going to do this, but she doesn't show any interest in that stuff, I'm going to judge you based on what you are, not on what you could be. My job is not to try to gamble on my marriage. My job is to find someone that's a good fit. Whenever you're with someone and you got to ask yourself, is this the best person I could do? It sounds kind of messed up, but it is true. Because when you get married, my plan is I'm not getting divorced. Okay. So you got to make sure whoever you do find is the right person for you 100%. Okay. It won't be perfect,
Right.
of course. There'll be workarounds, but just make sure it's a good fit.
Right.
All right,
Gotcha,
brother.
man. Thank you so much, man.
But you're solid, man. Just remember, debt free, and then slowly start saving up for that wedding and so on. Okay. But read those
Gotcha.
books first. Read those books first.
Of course. I'll let you know. When the marriage is happening.
All right, man. Awesome. I hope it does, man. And by the way, these calls, they're all free, but they're also not a one-time thing. So if you want to call me back after a few weeks or a few days when you got everything figured out, you can let me know, and I'll be here. Okay.
Man, sounds good. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thanks again, man, and have fun and good luck. I didn't want to say your name because I don't want anybody getting no ideas about what you do and so on. Okay, but have fun, man.
All right, thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.
All right, guys, so for the very first time, I don't want to reveal his name because even the idea of thinking about doing something like that, like poaching other people's clients in a company that you make so much money at, might get them in trouble. And again, I'm not interested in getting somebody else in trouble. And by the way, Danny, if I did say my editor, by the way, if I said his name, bleep it out. That way no one knows what his name actually is. Just say mysterious guy from New York City or whatever, okay? That way he doesn't get in trouble or anything like that. But overall, people tend to think, oh, we have joint accounts, we have all this stuff. But if you're not married, it's not going to be a good idea. I've heard so many bad stories. I had clients with bad stories, okay? Yeah, we got a joint account. She left with all of my money, okay? Or he left with all my money. Oh, yeah, I thought we were going to get married and all that stuff. So basically, I started buying furniture for the house. Yeah, turns out it didn't work out. She cheated on me, whatever it was. I'm stuck with the furniture now, but I'm not going to pay. So my credit is shot. You got to make sure before you start acting as one that you actually are one, okay? That's the main point. My fiance, I love her. I love her so much, love her, but I'm not joining my finances with someone I'm not married to just yet. You gotta be very, very critical on this stuff, okay? Tommy, but you don't trust them if you don't do that. No, okay? When legally you're married, that's okay. And by the way, Tommy, but you know what? It's just a piece of paper. Your deed to your house is just a piece of paper. Your car title is just a piece of paper. $100 bill is just also a piece of paper. So if you don't care about paper, how about you go ahead and give me a $100 bill? Obviously, you care about it. Obviously, it has value. Don't use that BS excuse to justify you making a mistake, okay? That's the biggest thing. Also, make sure before you get married, Do the research. Getting married is not, oh, so sexy. It's more like, hey, this is the person I'm going to spend a very long time with. And when you want to build a business, make sure you yourself are actually on good financial ground. And by the way, if you are in New York City, like this guy is right here, it's going to cost you somewhere around $500 to $800 to open up an LLC. Two LLCs, that means $1,600. That means basically like 10% of your debt is paid off. The answer is pay off your debts. Do not keep them around. You pay that off, save for emergencies, right? You can invest 5-10% to get the match of your company at the same time. Okay, great. Once you're done with the emergency fund, you move on to, hey, saving up for a house. But in this case, you might want to just save up for a wedding first while you're also investing. Once you have the wedding and all the other stuff, great, awesome, awesome. But then you decide, hey, we're married now. Your income, my income, there is none of that. It's just our income. That's all it is. Let's decide, do we actually want to buy a home? Or if you have debt, let's pay that off first, right? That's the whole idea here, okay, guys? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. And if you want to join me on my very next call, well, join my schedule down below. All calls are free. You can call me anytime you actually want, okay? On top, I also have 2 other channels. Links down below. Subscribe over there also. Also, if you want to DM me, well, join me on Instagram, type Bryson. And before I go, thanks for watching another video right here. Click my face right here. See you guys tomorrow. And as always, peace.